Welcome back to Conversations at the Ranch with Dudley Hall. I'm Sam, and I'm really excited to sit down again today with Dudley and talk about marriage. Marriage is under attack in many ways. You likely know that if you're around people who are married. So today we're going to discuss some of the common threats that marriages face. If you enjoy this week's episode, we'd ask that you would subscribe to our channel, like this video, share it with somebody who needs it, and hit that notification bell there on your screen so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. Hope you enjoy the conversation. I think I might have some leads as to what the answer is here, because you mentioned marriage has become increasingly difficult, it seems, for people because marriage is being redefined culturally by our society. What do you say some of the greatest threats to marriage are right now? As you perceive them in culture? Is it simply the fact that it's being redefined? It's now no longer defined by biblical ethic and worldview?
Well, it's being redefined because of so much emphasis on the individual happiness.
Yeah.
You know, it's about finding somebody that is going to make me happy and is not going to require me to change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now think about that.
Right.
But oftentimes when people are interviewed and asked, what are you looking for in a mate? Well, I'm looking for someone who will, good looking, who turns me on, it's attractive to them. There's romance involved, and that they make me happy. They bring life out of me.
Yeah.
And they're not going to make me change. Well, don't get married.
Yeah, right.
Because if you get married, if you're going to stay married, you're going to change. Mm-hmm. You're going to move from the individual who had this mindset to a new unit that has a common mind with someone else.
Yep.
And that takes adjustment.
That's right. Yeah.
And it takes conflict.
Yep.
And there's nothing wrong with conflict.
What would you say to the person who's struggling with that mentality, though, where they say, no, I mean, I need to be able to maintain the essence of who I really am, and there's still some me-ism there. I mean, and maybe a better way to ask the question is, what levels of individuality are healthy and okay within a marriage? Are there any levels of it that are okay?
I think there is that's why it's important for us to know who we are in Christ.
Yeah.
And who am I as a man? Mm-hmm. I'm not a woman. I'm not going to be as sensitive or whatever.
Yep.
But I need to be comfortable with who I am. Therefore, I have something to give.
Yeah.
That's the reason. Not so that I can have my rights protected. It's like I want to have something to give to her that's valuable.
Yeah.
Okay. I then need to know who I am. Mm-hmm. If I'm an introvert, I need to know how I get refreshed. Mm-hmm. And I can't do that if I'm always wondering, am I going to please her? Is this going to set her off? Or is she walking on eggshells, whatever? I need to know who I am. But the difference is, am I trying to just protect my individuality, or am I trying to define who I am so I have something to give away? Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, it's tough today because marriage is seen as something that you can try for a while. If it doesn't work, go try another one and whatever. And I don't think we are accurately diagnosing the scars that happen there. Mm-hmm. It's like we just swap it out. They're interchangeable parts. No. The scars that happen in a divorce or
some real trauma there.
Yeah. And you're taking that with you into the next one. And so anyway.
No, that's good. So what would you say to somebody who's in real crisis in their marriage? And I'm not talking about necessarily an abusive situation where it's clear cut, hey, you need to get out. I mean more one where you've got the collision of two individuals who haven't submitted to the we're becoming one mentality.
Yeah.
What 60 seconds of counsel would you give that person?
I would say find somebody in your community, in your sphere of friends, church, influence, whatever, that you feel like have made progress there. They're not perfect, but they have made progress there, and get gut level honest with them.
Yeah, right.
And just let them talk to you. First of all, you'll realize they've had the same problems you did.
That's right, yeah.
You know, sometimes it's a problem with going to the pastor or, you know, even a counselor, because you think, well, they got it all figured out. You need to go somebody that didn't have it all figured out, but they are figuring it out.
That's right, yeah.
And they can go, oh, yeah, we remember that.
Yeah.
So here's some things we've tried and whatever.
Sure.
It's not a matter of, you know, following a regulation or a blueprint.
Not a formula for it.
No, there isn't. I mean, it's life together.
Yeah.
And the main thing, and the reason I hate the no-fault divorce mentality is...
What's that?
That if you don't like things, just get out. You know, and
low view of marriage.
Low view marriage. It's, you know, if she burns a toast, I can't live with that. If she leaves hair in it, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't like that. I like the fact that it's like, no, I said I'm going to be here, and, you know, and unless there is some unsolvable, like you're talking about abuse or something like that, I'm going to be here.
Yep. Right. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the conversation today. There's something special I want to invite you to be a part of. It's called Dudley's Weekly Word. Dudley's Weekly Word is our weekly email series that we drop in your inbox if you subscribe every Friday. This is Dudley's quick take on current events, different theological ideas, an inspirational message or devotional just to encourage you, educate you, and really bring into focus all that we're trying to convey here at Kerygma Ventures that is essentially the good news of the gospel. I think you'd really enjoy it. You can subscribe to this weekly email by just clicking the button right here on the screen. Hey, we can't wait to get these messages to you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conversation.
I know when Betsy and I got married, I was already in ministry. I was already going to college and studying theology and so forth. So one of her nieces heard that she was marrying me, and she went, "Oh, no, that means Betsy can't ever get a divorce." Because in her mind, if you're a minister, you can't get a divorce. Okay, so that was a long time ago.
Interesting.
But that was the mentality in junior high she was picking up. It's like, well, you know, her concept of marriage was, if it's not working good, try another one.
Sure, yeah.
And she's like, no, they're locked in.
Wow.
So I kind of like the locked in deal. Yeah. It's like, that means we got to figure it out. I know one time we were in seminary, and seminary was hard for the marriage.
Sure.
Because I'm going to class all day and I'm studying all this stuff. She's working to provide the money, which and so she's not all that happy, and I'm not all that happy, but we were committed to have a devotional every night before we went to sleep. So we're laying in bed and we read the obligatory passage of Scripture, and
good,
and and so, but the tension is there, you know, in the bed. So finally, we're going to address it, and she goes, I've had it. I just don't know what I'm going to do. And I busted out laughing.
Did you?
I didn't mean to.
Attaboy.
And she says, and what's so funny about that?
Yeah.
And I said, well, I remember your dad saying when I asked for your hand, he said, I want you to treat her right, but you can't bring her back.
You're in it for the long haul.
And I said, I don't think you got a lot of options.
That's what you told her. Okay.
And I said, and I have none except you and I going to work this out.
That's right. Yeah.
And so for that moment, we both busted out laughing and said, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's something about taking the covenant seriously. Like, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, we may need to take a little break from each other, and we may need to read it. We may need some help.
Mm-hmm.
We may need to call somebody else in here, but I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
Man, something that I've seen recurring in these situations I'm bringing up here is that many of these couples feel alone, and they firmly believe like they are the couple dealing with this problem.
Yes.
And I don't think they mean it. I don't think they mean it in a prideful way or no one else has ever faced this way. I think it's more of an isolated thing where it's like, we don't know who to call. We don't know who to turn to. And man, that's to me the most heartbreaking thing about it is, I don't know what produces that in Christian cultures and otherwise, where you don't feel like you can honestly go to another couple who's further down the trail than you are, like you were saying.
Yeah.
And bear yourself before them and say, look, we're really struggling and need help. But that's been the number one thing I've tried to do in conversations with these friends of mine is say, man, I have been there as recent as last week, or I am there and you're not alone. Like there's a path forward here, and there are categories in the gospel for this.
Yes.
And you're safe here to share that. So
yeah, one of the big lies that we hear is that everybody we look at, they got a perfect marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And we projected that in society. It's like, okay, everybody looks like Brad Pitt and whoever.
Yeah.
And you never sweat and you never stink and you never, everything's cool. And in fact, Betsy and I have had people go, well, look, we know we all have never had these problems, but could you help us? It's like, yes.
Yeah. Right.
You name it, we've dealt with it.
Yeah.
So yes, you're right, and there needs we need to debunk that myth that everybody else's marriage is working great.
That's right.
And I'm the only one that's in a mess.
Yeah.
No, they're all two people becoming one, and that doesn't happen without sparks and without service and sacrifice.
Yep.
And so, get with it.
Yeah, that's really good, Dudley. Thank you. Yeah, I would just say, whoever's watching this, if you're having marriage problems, like Dudley said, reach out to somebody in your community, near you, who knows more than you, obviously knows more than you, and has got more experience than you do. You're not alone. And our prayer for you is that Jesus would make his love and safety known to you. And we trust that that'll happen. So.
Yeah, the great thing about having Jesus as your Lord and as your lover, is that when your mate is not meeting what you perceive as a need, he will.
Yeah, that's really good.
Because no mate deserves to be put in God's position. Because no mate can meet all your needs, but Jesus will.
Yeah,
and if you have him, then you can.
Yep, it's really good.